Back at home, feeling misunderstood, and between these ears ain't nothing good.
All right, we're back. Benchwarmers, Far End of the Bench, episode 32 here on the Unhinged Sports Network. Be sure to go check us out at FEOTB Pod for all the links to the partnerships that you just heard. There's also still time to get into our March Madness Bracket Challenge if you haven't yet. And you can submit as many brackets as you want. We got
like I said, we had somebody put in 25.
Yeah.
You can put in however many you want. I'm not going to say like that you have a better shot of winning because you probably don't.
It's more impressive if you win with one bracket.
Well, yeah, it really is. And having 25 brackets, like, you probably fuck around for 24 of those and have one real bracket.
No shame to the guy who put in 24. We appreciate it. There's going to be a lot of competition. And the winner will get one of our blue FEOTB Pod shirts that we have. And then we'll also buy you one of the white ones from the Unhinged merchandise store. Yeah. So we got some. Be sure to get in on that because that's going to be great. We wanted to start off. Let's start off with. We didn't do most dominant team of the week or benchwarmer of the week, so let's do those first. My benchwarmer of the week is.
You sure gonna find it?
Yeah, no, I got it now. My benchwarmer of the week is the year 2020. Because it did what it could to try and stop all the championships. But hey, we bounced back in a year.
Here we are.
It sucked. It hurt. It hurt for a long time. But look where we are now.
Remember, this time last year, we were waiting on the Last Dance every single Sunday. That's the only amount of sports we got every single week.
Or binge watching Tiger King.
Yeah, exactly. So look, we are slowly getting to where we should be. Finally, the world's getting back to normal slowly. Things are opening up. We're flattening the curve. Things are getting better.
We've put in the work, and we're starting to see some.
And finally, 2021 has some bright spots. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Who's your benchwarmer?
My benchwarmer week, it's easy. New Mexico State.
Ooh.
Kick rocks, bro.
Oh.
Yes, sir. First.
Oh.
This is the first time New Mexico State has lost the conference tournament since 2015, 6 years, and it was Cal Bakersfield, and you lose your first conference championship to a team that is your rivals in the Lopes, baby. We swept the regular season against you guys. We beat you in the tournament by 20. Man, it's fun, man. Hell yeah. New Mexico State Aggies are my benchwarmer of the week.
Oh, I'm sure once he I wish Jonah was here because we're going to record our bonus episode after we're done recording this. Jonah would have had some fun with that one, I'm sure. Most dominant team of the week. I'll let you start with most dominant.
My most dominant team of the week, like we talked about this team a little bit earlier. It's the Georgetown Hoyas. Like we said, what they were able to do in the Big East tournament. I love the Big East tournament. Like I said last week, Big East tournament is one of my favorite tournaments to watch every single year. Doesn't matter how good the competition is. It's just because it's in Madison Square Garden. It's in the basketball mecca. It's always good competition. You never know. There's always a Cinderella team that comes out of that tournament. Mm-hmm. And what Georgetown was able to do with Patrick Ewing and knock off, like I said, Villanova, Creighton, and UConn in back-to-back games is something to be said. So give me the Georgetown Hoyas for my most dominant team of the week.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't have as much confidence in them going forward into the tournament as you do, but I think.
Well, I don't either because they play CU in the first round. But I mean, it's still.
I just think it's one of the best weeks in college basketball that we've seen, especially this season. My most dominant team of the week is the Colorado Avalanche. They had their first season sweep against Los Angeles Kings, and those were two. Like the Kings were playing very tough. Especially yesterday's game, that was the one that I was kind of able to watch more of because they were right on the cusp of playoff positioning. The Avs were pretty comfortably in the 4 spot, and then they moved up to 3. But the Kings are still jockeying position with the Ducks and the Coyotes and the Sharks. So it was a good, solid couple wins. I think they outshot LA 87 to 40 something over those 2 games.
looking at the box score of one of the games, and it was like 45 to 21 shots on net or something stupid like that.
Yeah, they didn't give up many chances. Like I said, they are giving up very good chances, but Grubauer almost got a back-to-back shutout. Ended up giving up one late in the third period yesterday, but they finally played like the team that I thought they were going to be. So I'll give them credit when they do that. And like I said, we'll have more hockey analysis on the Tell It As It Is podcast coming out Thursday. So be sure to check Nico and I out on that with Griffin. Griffin's the name of the host, so that'll be fun. Now, all right, let's get into our are not new segments, but we're gonna have to figure out some sort of a name.
I'll
for this.
propose a name. Maybe the partnership segments of the week. We'll set a poll. I'll when we go live what you guys think are the names should be, but we'll have a couple that will come up.
What should we call this part of the show? Well, let's start off with what's brewing, presented by the High Alpine Brewing Company. Follow them on Twitter and Instagram at High Alpine Brew. You can also check them out on Facebook. Good friends with Scott over there. Go back and check out our bonus episode that we recorded live from the brewery with Coach Schaefer, Coach Pfeiffer, and a couple other friends from Gunnison. My What's Brewing, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. We're going to have one heavyweight champion.
We're going to see twice.
Well, we're going to see two fights, but we're going to have one true heavyweight champion for the first time, and I can't remember how long. They have signed a 2-fight contract to unify all of the World Heavyweight Championships. I believe it's WBC for Tyson Fury, and then WBO, WBA, and all that kind of stuff is with Joshua right now. But it's possibly the biggest fight, especially in recent heavyweight history, but especially in British heavyweight boxing history. This is the end-all, be-all. This is what they wanted to see. I'm glad that they decided to do this instead of a third Fury and Wilder fight, because Wilder's just... I think he really took that loss in a bad way. I don't think I want to see him box.
Well, especially what Fury was able to do to him that fight and dominate him, and then the white towel be thrown in as well. Like, he dominated him the whole fight.
And the excuses afterward really kind of... I feel like that messed with his head a little bit more than we probably know.
Yeah, I think Wilder was just coming in like, I am the most dominant, blah, blah, blah. And Fury was like...
Bomb Squad!
Yeah, Fury was like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
what?
Fury's like, I lost 200 pounds or something, or I lost a ton of weight. I'm in shape. I am the best heavyweight in the world, and he put on a show, and I'm very excited because Joshua... If it wasn't for that Ruiz fight, Joshua would probably be... I think to be argued as the best heavyweight in the world. I think I'd give Fury the slight edge, but it will all be decided here in the rest of the year.
Without that Ruiz fight, I think we see Wilder Joshua earlier than we would have seen this fight coming up. And if you're watching on YouTube, I am trying to wrangle a puppy. I don't know if it's on screen or not.
It is on screen. Yeah.
He's being a menace, and I can't get him to calm down. So we're working through the adversity. But that's my What's Brewing. So what's brewing for you?
My What's Brewing, man. This is a little bit of a hot take. Duke basketball. I don't think they're a powerhouse college basketball team anymore. That is a very hot take. Yes, I know. Very, very hot take. But look, they get the talent every year. Don't get me wrong. Duke still has some of the best talent in college basketball every single year. But they can never seem to make it all the way to the Final Four and win it. It's been a very long time since we have talked about Duke being in the national championship, being the best team in the country. It has been a while. Yeah. And you can't, and although, yes, you can yell at me for saying Duke's still a powerhouse because of their name and what they've done in recent years, or done in their history, but in recent years, they're not what they are anymore. And look, yes, they've had Zion, yes, they had RJ, but they didn't even make the Final Four with that team.
No,
look, they had the talent, but they have never been able. They haven't been able to put it together for a very long time since, I believe, Kyle Singler and John Shire. I take that back. I think Marvin Bagley and Nolan Smith and Grayson Allen was the last one. So it's been a minute.
I remember Grayson Allen. I thought I was going to ask if it was all the way back to Christian Laettner.
They've been competitive since then. But like I said, recent years they have not been what they were. Like I said, you don't see Duke as the number one team in the country anymore. They are a middle of the pack kind of the ACC team now.
Yeah, their wrestling team is kind of building up a lot of momentum now too. So it's interesting that their basketball is falling off right at the time they're building up another program. I liken it to kind of Iowa, because Iowa is the wrestling dynasty. I think Dan Gable had the longest winning streak of any active wrestling coach in NCAA history, but now they fell off for a while. They're starting to make their comeback a little bit, but it's kind of like they're the powerhouse of the last millennium. They aren't the powerhouse that we've seen since then. So I like that What's Brewing. Again, What's Brewing presented by the High Alpine Brewing Company at High Alpine Brew. Go ahead, go off the hinges. I'll let you go off the hinges first.
My off the hinges, man. Look, what we've seen in the NBA this year, the centers are not being seen as MVPs, and it's pissing me off. Look, I talked about Jokic not being in an MVP conversation, but now Embiid not getting the love he deserves anymore is pissing me off too. Everybody's still looking at the guards game and beating Jokic. It's no longer there. It's not their league. But I'll tell you right now, we are seeing dominance from the big man position. Whether it be I hate saying his name. Rudy Gobert has been playing well. Nikola Vucevic for the Orlando Magic has been playing well. Sabonis, Anthony Davis when he's playing. This is a big man's league still, and they are not getting the love they deserve, man. Steph Curry changed the game with a 3-point shot, but what these centers have been able to do now, but by playmaking and be able to do more than just post up their smaller defender, is incredible for the game, and the big men deserve a little more love.
You kind of, I only know this because I was the one who posted the blog, but Dennis, you're one of the personalities on 3 in the Key and the host of Sports and Things, actually argued the exact opposite in his blog last week. He is one of the people who thinks the big men, well, while it's nice to have, and having a dominant player on the court is never a bad thing, it is not as necessary as it used to be. It used to be like the Shaqs of the world, and that's kind of what he was using it as. None of these guys could go up against Shaq one-on-one right now.
Shaq in his prime
Yes.
is different.
Yeah.
There's very few people.
He's still the standard of big men.
There's very few people in the history of the game that can match up to Shaq. So that's why it's unfair to match them up with Shaq. I match them up rather with the McHales, the Birds of those days. And I can tell you right now, I think Jokic and Embiid, no offense to McHale and Bird, Parrish, and all those guys, they're legends of the game. But I think they could match up.
If we had
a
any
little
listeners
bit.
in Massachusetts, they just
They're
turned
gonna
off
kick the
right
shit out of me. Jim, I'm sure, is probably losing his mind at me hearing about this. But look, I think the big man game is evolving more and more. And yes, we don't see the Shaqs anymore, where the guy's 350 pounds leaning on you. But now Jokic standing at 280, 275, and being able to post anybody up he wants, then also be able to have a soft touch around the rim.
Well, that baby hook is beautiful.
It's beautiful, man. So I love it. I love the big man game. I always will, because I played the big man, although I wasn't the biggest kid in high school.
Yeah.
Like I could shoot a little bit, but like I have respect for the big man game still.
Oh, they know. They heard our bench extravaganza show. We're not scorers. We were the biggest kids on the team up until like 8th grade.
True. That's true.
My Off the Hinges, presented by the Unhinged Sports Network at Network Unhinged on Twitter. I don't understand why there's still division shaming, and it's something that goes throughout all sports. But when I was heard about it, so the local sports station, the morning show, Mark Schlereth is one of the co-hosts of the morning show, and I listen to him because he's funny. He has similar takes as I do, but this morning he was talking about the Bucks and their scouting department, and they've found three starters, 3 of their 5 starters on their offensive line are Division III guys. That's not true. One of them is a Division III guy. Ryan Jensen and Alex Capa. We talk about Ryan Jensen. We tweeted about him a couple times because he's a CSU Pueblo alumni, and if you know anything, they're Division II. And he was corrected. They have a text line. He was corrected. Oh, what's the difference? Division II, Division III? They're not knocking on the door of the big sky. They're not Division I. And I think that's so outdated to think. We've seen so many great players come from these Division 1A, Division II, Division III levels that you can't say that there aren't people who could play at that level anymore. There's less competition. They're not playing against as many guys on their level, but they are still able to be successful, and they're still in the top 3% of players who played in high school. Mm-hmm. Only 3% of players who will play high school athletics will go on to play in the NCAA or NAIA at the college level. So I think the shame doesn't sit right with me, and probably because I was one of those guys. But I played with guys that I know could play in the NFL. I've played against guys that I know could play in the NFL. Hell, I was on the team with Austin Eckler. He just got paid in Los Angeles last year as a running back. These guys can play. It's not like it's Division I and then nobody else knows how to play football.
The way I see it is the stigma of there's not good players at D1 schools and lower schools is the depth. I think top to bottom, every single guy on the Alabama roster can play. The guys who don't get minutes on the field can play anywhere, but in some of the necessarily lower level guys, the D2 guys can't play on D1 schools, but there is talent all the way across. There's no doubt about it. It's one to behold for sure. You go back to like the lower level conference. One of the reasons why March Madness is so big is because these lower level schools that don't get to play these big schools everywhere, and then that aren't at the top, aren't seen in front of everyone's eyes every single week. They get their chance to show why they still are great players at every single school.
Yeah, I just don't understand why we have to shame somebody for being at that level, because and especially if they're playing at the professional level, Division II, Division III doesn't matter. They made it to the point where you're talking about all these great Division I athletes did. They're playing at very high levels. Alex Coppa played 6 games last year with a broken arm. And Ryan Jensen, I think, other than Corey Lindsley, was probably the best center to play in the postseason, especially in the NFC. It's just, I get what they're saying. I do understand that there's a difference between Division I, Division II, and Division III. But we shouldn't disparage somebody for being a Division III All-American or a Division II powerhouse of a player that made it into the NFL and is actually thriving. We shouldn't pull those guys down. We should build those guys up and then celebrate them just like we celebrate everybody else.
I full on agree with that. Like I said, I played I didn't play, but I was a part of a D3 program my freshman year of college, and there were a lot of great players on the team. Like I said, like there are look playing, because both of us started and played in high school. We did not start playing college. We weren't the guys on the team in college, and there's so much great talent all the way across the country. There's thousands and thousands of high schools, and there's only X amount of players from each high school that gets to play at the next level, whether it be D3, D2, D1, whatever it may be, NAIA too. Throw that in there too. All those deserve respect because they get another chance to play at the next level, and they still have a dogfight. Because imagine in high school, you have your niche, you have your group that you played so long with, you have your buddies that you played elementary school football with that you know. But you go across the country, you go to a different school where you don't know anybody, you go into a place where you have to compete and you have to find out who the best is. That adds another advantage to it. It doesn't have to be D1 where that is.
Yeah, and it's not like your winter conditioning at a Division III college was any less difficult than my winter conditioning at Division II, or any different than the conditioning at Alabama or any of these Division I schools. There's differences in what you do around it, because like I didn't have a personal chef, you guys didn't have a personal chef. Sure. Alabama gets to go in and they have a personalized menu down to the kind of chocolate chip cookies that they like, whether it's chocolate chips or chocolate chunks. I don't know, but there's something to be said about not bringing somebody down who's succeeding that wasn't at the same level.
I like that off the hinges a lot. That might be one of the best ones we had for sure.
That was the Off the Hinges for this week, presented by the Unhinged Sports Network at Network Unhinged. So now let's move on to what's on your screen. I'll just go ahead and get it out of the way.
Both of ours are very easy.
Yeah, you could guess. You guys know what we're talking about. March Madness. I went through and found every single college wrestling on the guide today for DirecTV, and we're supposed to get snow again. By the way, in Colorado we had. Well, it was
quote unquote 10 feet of snow. Well, it was only about 2.5, 3 feet, but I mean,
it was interesting yesterday because I think everybody's collective reaction Saturday, and you were inebriated, so there was another level to that. But it was like they were talking about 5 feet of snow, and this is just so light. And then Sunday came, and it was
dumped.
Yes, it was. I saw it was on TikTok. It's like, this storm is like somebody bragging to you about their eggplant, and then you see it, and it's just underwhelming. And then the next day, it's like, I take it back.
Exactly. I live on the third floor of my apartment complex, and the snow was like, at one point I could not see out my window because it was just straight white. Like it was just blizzard snow. Yeah. I could not see out my window except just white. I could see my porch. Besides that, it was all white. Like I could not see out farther to the mountains.
My dad and I had to push our trucks out of where they were parked on the side of the street, and there was, I think, probably about 2 feet, maybe 2.5 feet, but we haven't had 2.5 feet of snow in so long. You forget how deep 2.5 feet can be. And for cars, the fact that I had to push my brand new truck out that has 4-wheel drive and was weighed down by the snow in the back, that was just crazy. So that's what we were dealing with.
Luckily, I have an underground parking, so I got lucky. Yeah. But I haven't had to drive my car since the snow started, luckily. So,
I'll be watching every single session of March Madness. That's what's on my screen, presented by Fubo TV.
What's on my screen is every single March Madness game. More importantly, Saturday, GCU versus Iowa. If I am not there, which I could be, Jimmy and I more than likely will be casting that too.
Yeah,
so I'll be on the lookout for that. Because we are going to be, I don't know if they have announced it yet, but we'll be a part of the ColorCast quote-unquote tournament, whatever it may be.
Their March Madness, I can't remember the name
so
of it.
we're gonna try to announce a bunch of the games going forward. We'll relay all that information as we get closer to it. But look out for that because, like I said, if GCU makes a run, fire me up. It's gonna take a lot to beat Iowa, but if they somehow do it, it'll be a lot of fun.
It's going to take a lot. You thought you had to help me with names before. College basketball.
I'll help you big time. Iowa has there's a lot of I've watched, like I said, I watched a lot of the conference championships, and I know a lot of these players' names now. It took me a minute, but Jeremy helped me out. So Jeremy will help you out in bonus episode too.
There we go. So that's what's on our screen, presented by Fubo TV. I actually did just start my free 7-day trial. That's how I was able to watch the Avalanche yesterday. So it does work, and you get a lot of channels, and they have different packages. So the one that I started my trial for was just the basic, $64.99. I don't think that there's many cable contracts that go down to $64.99. So Fubo TV, and we talked about it earlier, Fanatics, all the links in our bio for all of our partnerships.
You have to use those this week. Like this month especially.
Yes.
Because look, we are going to be sitting on our ass watching sports a lot for the next month and a half, 2 months. And if it's snowing outside like it is in Colorado and you're stuck at home, you get Fubo. And then if you want to get some of that gear and you can't go to your alma mater and get their gear, use the Fanatic stuff.
And then, since you're sitting on your ass and going to gain a little bit of weight before spring and summer starts, buy some resistance bands from Atemi Sports using our link. And stay in shape that way. So those are our partnership segments for the week.